the main cause for the suppression and oppression of Palestinian and Palestinian solidarity movement is the oppression of people who are not white Germans. So I can tell you that there is a very big, actually the biggest Palestinian community in Europe outside Palestine is in Berlin. They tried to resist for a long time, and we are together with them, the Jewish Voice for a Just Peace in the Middle East. We exist already 20 years and we try to support them. Jews are overrepresented in the group of the people who are cancelled in Germany because they are critical about Israel. I myself was already arrested by the German police. We are all affected by this madness that is going on in Gaza. We live in a dystopic world, and it's going to have really massive consequences for all of us. Okay. So I can tell you that there is a very big, actually the biggest Palestinian community in Europe outside Palestine is in Berlin. So there are many people that live here and have family in Palestine, in Gaza, of course. And they try to resist for a long time, and we are together with them, the Jewish Voice for a Just Peace in the Middle East. And we are doing that. We exist already 20 years, and we try to support them with that. But as you said, there is a rise of the right wing in Germany, and it has also to do with the oppression of the protest of Palestinian people. And we have also to remember that 2015, Angela Merkel let something like 1 million people, refugees from Syria, from Afghanistan, to enter to Germany. It means 1 million more Muslims in Germany. Some of the Syrian people are also Palestinians. And there is a counterback to this. Many people in the right wing would like to reverse this situation and to expel many of these people outside of Germany, and to have less and less Muslims or others, non-white Germans in Germany. So the big part, or the main cause for the suppression and oppression of Palestinian and Palestinian solidarity movement is the oppression of people who are not white Germans. And it means that there were the German authorities in Berlin, for example, already forbidden before the 7th of October many demonstrations. It's a process that started something like 15 years ago, that Israel was also starting to fight more and more people who were in solidarity with the Palestinians, accusing them of anti-Semitism, and started really to industrialize this accusation. And Germany was taking that in order to implement this right-wing politics. So the state have a commissioner a Christian commissioner for Jewish life and for the struggle against anti-Semitism. And in every land, state in Germany, Germany is a federation of 16 states, there is a commissioner in every state, and what they are mainly doing is suppressing people who are talking about Israel in a critical way, or Palestinians or Muslim. And in the beginning, they had some taboos. You know, Jews were allowed still to talk, but with the time, Germans became really the better Jews, and they decide who are the good Jews, which are the ones who are organized and financed by Germany, right-wing Jews that supports Israel, and they are the ones that are supported, and there are the bad Jews. That's us, the Jews who are more liberal and progressive, and are speaking against Israel's apartheid, colonialism, and now, unfortunately, genocide. So on the 7th, since the 7th of October, it was forbidden in many places in Germany to have demonstration, only pro-Palestinian demonstrations, or at least what Germans called pro-Palestinian demonstrations, were forbidden, while Germany was financing, state financing, demonstrations for Israel and every pro-Israeli activity. And there are Israeli flags on many buildings in Germany, streets named after war criminals, Israeli war criminals. The end of October, it was possible to have these demonstrations. Since then, we were demonstrating, but it was very hard. Already some years ago, they banned, they decided, the German parliament, an anti-BDS resolution, because BDS is allowed according to the German law. So they try to bypass the German law and declare many declaration in the parliament that becomes soft laws. So we have hardly any access to a room or a place in the public sphere to talk about Palestine or Israel in a critical way. And one of the tries was to have this Congress. It was an organization of many groups that were organizing this Congress, and we are part of these groups. And Jewish Voice gave also the bank account in order to collect donations for this Congress. So 2 or 3 weeks before the Congress, already after it was announced that there will be this Congress, and it was online and the program was online, the press started to distribute hate speech against this Congress. And we're talking about right-wing press, but also all the leftist and liberal media was calling this Congress of Israel haters, of anti-Semites, of terrorists, Islamists, whatever. And the politic put a lot of pressure trying to avoid it, but it's not possible according to the German law to prohibit such a conference. So 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the Congress started, they blocked the German account that belongs to the city of Berlin or state of Berlin, blocked the account of Jewish Voice, where all the donations are there, and it is freezed until now. We have no access to this account. We went to court, but the court said that it's okay. I mean, they are willing to do that. They are able to do that, although it's a public bank. It's not that easy to do that, and that's the second time it happens to us. So then we changed the conto so that all donations came to another bank account of Mera. This is the Varoufakis, Yanis Varoufakis party, and they were collecting the donations. And we were doing also other activities in order to collect more money, because, you know, we have a lot of money which is closed in the bank. And afterwards, all politicians were tweeting how bad this Congress is and it shouldn't take place and all that. but we managed to collect the money. So in the morning of the Congress, I mean, the place was kept secret so that the police will not put pressure on the person who owns this place. There was a contract with him because the police is acting like a mafia. And when we had, for example, an event in a cafe for collecting donations, they were just calling, you know, the owner of this cafe and said, I mean, we have here security problems and threats and all that. So the place was kept secret, but the police found out and put pressure also on the person. But we managed to clarify the issue with him. And there was a talk also with the police the evening before, and everything was cleared. And usually, I mean, according to the law, the police has to cooperate and to take care that such a conference will take place. That's their duty. But in the morning, they didn't allow people to get into the conference. They said that because of fire fighting regulations, they have to limit the people that will get in. So 700 people had tickets for that, but they allowed only 250, and they didn't let them even get into it. They didn't let the press to get in, but from a back door, they let a right-wing press to get in there. And they always put pressure already before, and many people start to demonstrate outside the conference, everything peacefully. Then the conference started, there was one talk, and then there was a video talk from Salman Abu Sita. He was just starting his talk, and he was talking about silencing of Palestinian voices. And at that moment, policemen came into the place, something like 20, 30 policemen who were, you know, wearing suits like they are going to the battlefield. And they were standing in front of the curtain when the video was screened on. They said it's forbidden to show that. They went into the electricity room and cut off the electricity. And they say that it's forbidden because there was hate speech there. So there were lawyers also there and asked them, I mean, which kind of hate speech? What do we have here? And he said, well, I mean, we didn't hear something, but it could happen. Something like that could happen. And the person, it's prohibited for him to speak in Germany. So they told him that actually there was already a trial about that, and you cannot prohibit someone to talk on video. And they say, well, they never heard about it. And every time they invented something a new reason why it is forbidden. When we talk to them and we ask them, and at the end they say, well, we are just, we have our orders that we have to fulfill. So then they said that the whole conference is forbidden, 3 days, because the organizers said, okay, if there is something problematic with this video, you can watch the video and tell us what's the problem with it. And then we can skip it and we can go to Yanis Varoufakis, who's speaking later. But they refuse all the time for all these, compromises, kind of. And then we also heard that Dr. Salman Abu Sita, the surgeon that was 43 days in Gaza, in Al-Shifa, and was treating patients there, and he is the dean of the Glasgow University, he was also denied entry to Berlin. He had to fly back to London without being able to speak in the conference. Then in the evening, Yanis Varoufakis also published his speech that he was supposed to give in the conference. And he said that the Ministry of Internal Affairs in Germany banned him for entering into Germany, for talking to German audience, and to send also this video message, which he's of course doing. So all in all, this is the way they just canceled this conference. Yeah. Well, there was a lot of persecution all this time. I myself was already arrested by the German police, because on the 14th of October, during the time when it was prohibited to have demonstration, pro Palestinian demonstration or demonstration protesting the genocide and what Israel is doing, we tried to have a demonstration, the Jewish Voice for Peace, and we were denied. So I went by myself as one woman action, because this is allowed according to the German law. And I was standing in a central place in Berlin where many Palestinians are also living, with a sign, and on the sign it was written, as an Israeli and a Jew, stop the genocide in Gaza. And I was arrested, detained by the police for something like an hour. And I also argued with them, because I said it's allowed according to the law what I'm doing. You're not allowed to avoid, to prohibit it. After an hour, I had also my Israeli passport with me. So after an hour, I was released and I could stand with his sign. 2 weeks later, I was charged with the same sign for hate speech, together with another man who had a similar sign. Meanwhile, they canceled it, and I'm also allowed now to pick my sign. So everything is intimidation, as for me, But other people, in the first days after the 7th of October, the police was going in streets where many Palestinians are living, and they were hitting Palestinians. They were going to their homes in the 3rd floor, where these Palestinian families had in their living room, for example, a Palestinian flag. They told them to get it down. They had, during the Sylvester night, for example, pop-up checkpoints that they just, in the middle of the night, just put there and don't let people pass. They were detaining people who were wearing kufiyas on the street, with no legal ground. All that is without any legal ground. The Berlin Ministry of Education said that it's not allowed for Palestinian students to go to school with kufiya or with, a chain or something, garments like, with Palestine symbols. And people were charged all the time. People, because of a post on Instagram, their houses were checked, their phone were taken, their computers were confiscated. People, private accounts of people were closed, people who organized also the Palestine Conference. So there is a very heavy suppression. And during the conference, one of our members, for example, Udi Raz, who was sitting there with a kippah on his head, a policeman was mocking him for having this kippah. So another member of our organization told the policeman, do you think that it's appropriate to mock on someone's religious, customs? And this is also under, fight against anti-Semitism, what they are claiming to do. And the policemen start to say, well, don't take it privately and whatever. And then when these members was going out of the conference, he told this policeman that it's anti-Semitic what he did. And the policeman said, no, it's not. And our member said it is, and he was detained. The day after, there was a very big demonstration in Berlin after the conference was forbidden, also with many people coming from all over the country for this conference. People came from Switzerland, from Austria, and the police was also beating children and attacking people just like that for doing nothing. There is also a camp of activists in front of the German parliament, and the police was there arresting also people, among them also Jews. They were beating them, and they were also charging people. And sometimes, they are following people in the underground, and they say, 3 weeks ago, we photographed you in a demonstration. You said from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which is forbidden. At least, it's controversial, but according to German law, it could be forbidden. So they charge the people and they persecute them on a daily basis. Well, I will talk now as an activist, but also as a psychoanalyst, which is what I am also. I think Germany tries to propagate or to market its white supremacist and racist policy as a kind of the way to work through their history, and because they feel guilty about the Holocaust. I don't think so. We see that it's also the case in France, for example, as you said. And Germany was also one of the last states to support apartheid in South Africa. So Germany has a clear racist policy, and it's not see itself as a migrant state. Now they are dependent on migrants, like the USA. They need people because there are not enough nurses and physicians and workers in every branch in Germany. So they need people, but they don't want the wrong people, kind of. So they are doing two things now parallel. They try to get rid of, the bad migrants, kind of, who are not. They are willing to accept migrants when these migrants are not political subjects. So, it's like in Turkey. You can be a Kurd in Turkey. You can live, you can have everything if you deny your political aspirations. So this is what also Germans want. They want, migrants from Greece, Italy, Spain that will work here on IT or in hospitals, but will have nothing, political, no political aspirations. So they try to let these people into the country and to make it easier to acknowledge their, what they learned and what they can do professionally, and to get rid of migrants who are Muslims, who are not the right one, or to let them here, but they can be here only if they accept, if they become white Germans, if they will say, yeah, we are also, it's our guilt, the Holocaust. Syrian people will say that too. So we are talking about a racist white supremacist policy under the cover of fighting against anti-Semitism, because it costs them nothing to say it. There are hardly Jews in Germany. We know all why. Huh? They were exterminated. So today we have something like 200,000 Jews in Germany, which is nothing. It's not that they have any electoral or economical or any kind of power, but Germany uses them and instrumentalizes them in order to marginalize other groups. And, there are, the right wing is on the rise here. And Germany in the last 20 years, they said, well, actually, we are world champions in, dealing with the past. And we dealt with the past so good that now we are the better Jews. And the way that they become Jews is to identify with Israel. So they become Zionists, and in this way they can become Jews, and actually by that they become the victim. So Germans are kind of protecting their own identity by projecting the anti-Semitism on the Muslims as a big group, and being themselves, the victims of these Muslims. Now, this is also what, the right-wing people are saying from the Alternative from Germany. That's, a Nazi party. That was, for 2 months ago, it was found that they were organizing a conference with a concrete plan to deport something like 2 million migrants to North Africa from Germany. So we are talking about really Nazi structures in Germany that are protected by Germans' politics. They are in the German parliament. They are elected here. No one say anything against them, only against the Muslims as a group that are all have to prove, that they are loyal to the state of Germany, to this white Germany. So I think it's a possibility for Germany. It's not only about Palestine. It's also about Ukraine, for example. We see totalitarian tendencies in Germany on the rise. It was also during the Corona time. and a big identification with the USA. So whatever the USA is doing as for politics, Germany is doing too. And it was a big taboo in Germany after the Second World War to be nationalist, to be militarist. But through identification with the Ukraine or with Israel, they can leave their militaristic, ideas and start to be more nationalistic, which is very dangerous. And it started with the reunification of Germany. Germany became big again, and it was kind of, okay, now we are okay, kind of. We are clean and we dealt with our past and we can go back to business as usual under the cover of this moral. We're doing that for good. It's a German, I would say, trait. I mean, there are many places in the world where you, for example, sort out your garbage because you're doing something, for in order to be more ecological, because we have too much garbage in the world, so you can try to recycle. In many other places, you do it for practical reasons, because otherwise we will have too much garbage. In Germany, you do it because you're a good person morally. Everything has a moral touch. And also the left in Germany is drifted to this direction. They are, it's a very, strange left, because they also try to show that they are morally very good. And there was a very big split in this left between other left groups in the world. Because of this, they have this contradiction of, the leftist in Germany can say, I'm anti-capitalist, I'm anti-racist, I'm anti-colonialist, and I love Israel, which is not, it's not working. And now we see, that you have to take a clear side now. And many of them, they are just splitting around that. And also the left in Germany is hardly existent. First of all, to Masha Gessen, she belongs to many Jews, mainly Jews, that are being cancelled in Germany, which is also crazy because, as I said, there are 200,000 Jews, but in the USA there are more, and many of them are also intellectuals on a high level, but they are the ones who are cancelled. So Jews are overrepresented in the group of the people who are cancelled in Germany because they are critical about Israel. So this is really an absurdity that we experience all the time. Now, the last case was Nancy Fraser, she's a philosopher, and there is also a movement called Strike Germany, because German people are calling other people from the world to boycott Germany because of this policy of Germany. Now, of course, we are also cancelled, people from Jewish Voice for Just Peace, the Jüdische Stimme. And what we try to do is, first of all, to help Palestinians and to raise the voice of Palestinians. This is one thing. And on the other hand, it's very important for us to show that Israel is not speaking in our name, that what Germany calls the Jewish state is not a Jewish state. They claim to be like that, but also East Germany claimed to be a democracy. So it's very important for us to be visible and to say we are not agreeing on that, we are objecting to that, we are willing to pay a price for that, and we want to live together with Muslims, with Christians, with whoever here in Germany in peace, and we don't let the political powers in Germany to split between us, because this is what they are trying to do. They are saying all the time, politicians also, for example, Robert Habeck, which is a minister of the Green Party, he had a speech after the 7th of October warning the Muslims not to be anti-Semitic, because one has to defend Jewish life here in Germany. And he said he couldn't say anything that happened to any Jews. It's always about Jewish people having fears. So they are, making, suppressing other people, and with a prevalence and using of, a fear politic in order to suppress. And in this way, it's of course the white German supremacist politics is trying to split between Jews and hardly existing Jews, and Muslims, and they are telling the Muslims, we have to suppress you because we have to protect the Jews. So of course, this is something that provoke hate against Jews, which we would like to encounter and to say, not in our name also, what Germany is doing. We are, the people in the board of Jewish Voice, we are people who are, we work as freelancers, or we are retired or whatever, or young people who have money or do not need much, I don't know. So we can afford ourselves to go out with our names and to be active, but most of our members are, they do not identify with their names. And this is also something that the state doesn't like. When our bank account was closed or frozen, we were told that we have to, the reason was bureaucratic. They wanted us to give them some formulas, which is normal, but they gave us 2 weeks for that. And they wanted a list of all our members with their addresses. So they would like to control us, of course. And of course, we do not obey to that. I don't think it's also compatible with European law. But what we try to do, is to raise our voice together always with Palestinians, to be in solidarity with them. And this is also a pain in the ass for German authorities, because when our bank account was closed for the first time, it was because we signed the BDS call. And we were told by the bank that in the moment we take our signature from the BDS call, we will get our bank account back. Because, Israel tries to say all the time, in Germany too, it's about anti-Semitism, it's about anti-Semitism. And the moment so many Jews, like Masha Gessen, for example, say, this is a genocide, what's going on here. We do not agree with what Israel is doing, then we break this identification between Israel and Judaism, and it's harder to claim that it's about anti-Semitism. So of course they want to intimidate us and to silence us. And as in authoritarian regimes, it happens that usually, this is what makes us big. Because after our bank account was closed for the first time, then we got a peace prize for that, because we were fighting against it. So, and we got more press, and we got more known. This is the case now too. But for Germany, it's very bad news, because it means that, one can see how the German parliament is bypassing its own constitution, how police is suppressing without any legal ground, and we cannot do anything about it. We can go now to the court. The Congress is already over, and we will have a ruling in our favor, maybe. And next time when this thing will happen, the policeman will say again, wait, we don't know, we never heard about it. And I don't know if you saw the press conference of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. If not, I would recommend it. It's on our Instagram site. You can see that. And you can see how, we were branded as Islamist. So the reporters were asking the speaker of the ministry, how can you say about, we're talking about secular activists, leftists who are not religious at all, Jews. What is Islamist about them? And she said, well, I have nothing to add about it, but I just want to say that in Germany, of course, you can criticize Israel. It was not harming the free speech in Germany. And every time they were asked and say, what is your definition for Islamist? She said, well, I have nothing to add to what I said before. And she repeats that, you know, all the time without any ground, and they don't even feel the need, you know, to explain to the people. It's, you know, it's like a mafia organization. They are really acting like mafia. I think the Germany is really getting crazy. I would say also there is a process. I'm an Israeli. I left Israel 22 years ago, and I see that Germany is going through this Israelization process of, you know, politicians who are doing everything in order to stay in power, social democrats that are doing everything in order to be in the coalition and becomes more and more right wing, um, and, you know, ignoring the law. So I think pressure from the outside is very important, because there are people who are also boycotting Germany. We see that there are people who don't want to come to Germany to work here, and Germany needs these people. So if these people will not come, I think it's going to be helpful. Boycott us, I would say. And also, I think that in left movements, it's very important. The Germans will feel that they are not welcomed if they are supporting genocide and apartheid. It's not working like that. They have to feel that if they are identified with Israel, they have a lot to lose. This is what will happen to them also, because they will become such a racist country again. And we know, you know, that Germany has the structures for that. And Germany has a very good constitution. So, and they have also to obey to European law. And the fact that they were banning, you know, Varoufakis from coming to Germany, I mean, it's a European politician who was talking about human rights and equal rights for people. What did he do? You know, so it's so crazy that it's very important. And Spain is a leading power in you know, this pro-Palestinian movement, for example. It's very important that the left also in Spain will put pressure on German people that they are collaborating and cooperating with. Also, you know, we're talking about unions, that it's very, I mean, German unions are just doing nothing, hardly something in order to support, you know, Palestinian or other people. I mean, we are all affected by this madness that is going on in Gaza. We live in a dystopic world, and it's going to have really massive consequences for all of us. And there should be a border to that. And it can't go on like that. The Germany is just, you know, disobey every rule without feeling the consequences for that. So I think it's very important to blame and to shame Germany all over the press. Therefore, I'm talking with you also. It's important that it will be known in the world what Germany is doing, what Germany politics is doing. Most of the people in Germany do not agree with it. Mainly right-wing voters agree with the fact that Germany is supporting Israel in this genocide. So it's important that the German politician will hold accountable, that they will feel that they are not welcomed in other places and states, that, they will blame and shame publicly. Yes, of course. I mean, we have contacts to Israel. It's a very small group, which is becoming smaller and smaller with time. We have connections to other Jewish groups all over Europe, and of course to Jewish Voice for Peace in the USA, which is very big. We have also many members that were members in Jewish Voice for Peace in the USA, in UK, in Australia, in South Africa. And during the years of Trump, for example, or during, let's say, I mean, the last 15 years were the golden age of Berlin. It's over because Berlin became very capitalistic, very expensive. It's hard to find any place to live in Berlin. Gentrification is taking place, so it's not cheap anymore. But it used to be a place which was not expensive, and for artists very attractive because the German state was financing a lot of projects. But now it's over. They cut all that, and also, you know, some of these cuts are done under the cover of this fighting against anti-Semitism. So this way they just can close projects and not financing projects and saying, yeah, that's for because of the fight, because they are anti-Semitic, not because we are cutting the budget. So this is not the case now in Berlin anymore, but during the years of the golden age of Berlin, many Jews came from all these Anglo-Saxon countries, and they were active there. So we have also contacts, also through these members to these organizations. We are also in good contact with others, organization of Palestinians, the young generation of Palestinians who are, many of them are also, you know, they are active in the academy, if they can still talk, or they work as freelancers because they are silenced. But, you know, these are intellectuals with whom we work together, lawyers, people who are, you know, in post-colonialism studies. But we all know also that the future is not going to be that pink, because now in Germany also post-colonialism becomes something anti-Semitic because of the idea that Israel is a settler colonial state. So they just take everything, you know, the right wing wants to cut anyhow, and they use anti-Semitism in order to force this politics. Yeah, but we try, you know, to work together also with other groups and talk with them, and online, or like, you know, I do with you, in order to raise awareness, because we can hardly get into the German media. We are getting into the German media if there is kind of scandal like that with the Palestine Congress. Otherwise, they don't write about us at all. We are persona non grata. Because they know also that if they will let us write, publish anything, will do an interview with us, they will be also fired from the, you know, working as journalists. So there is kind of, you know, natural selection, that the people who stay are the people who are conform with the system, and it's biased. But if you look, you know, surveys show that young people in Germany are in alliance with us, and I guess it's because, you know, they have the information from social media, not from the German established media.